Hey, I'm Joe Pardo, and you're listening to Chasing Dreams with my dear friend, Amy J. You are so fortunate. Have a magical day.
Welcome to Chasing Dreams podcast with Amy J. Amy believes that realizing a life without regrets is achieved by taking chances, chasing your dreams, making moves, and overcoming your doubts. The Chasing Dreams podcast will help you overcome life's obstacles, believe in your potential, and inspire you to face your fears. And now here's the woman who is passionately pursuing her dreams, Amy J.
Hey Dream Chasers, this is Amy J, and you are listening to episode 107 of Chasing Dreams, and it's a special one because it's another check back-ish episode. So today we are checking back in with my dear friend Joe Pardo, fellow Dream Chaser, fellow dreamer, and guest of episode 25 here today. Joe, what's going on, my friend?
Man, it's been a long time since episode 25. What episode are you up to now?
107.
107. That is incredible. And I remember you celebrating 100 episodes. It felt like a long time ago, though. Was it a long time ago?
It was mid-July.
Was it that? Wait, it really was?
Yeah.
Was that when you did the live stream, or was that for your anniversary? That was for your anniversary.
Yes. So that there's always celebrations going on, right? So
yes.
So I did my first Facebook Live for I think it was the anniversary, and then I did a Facebook Live for the 100th episode, a small one. It wasn't really. It's more of a thank you message, and then here we are. It was your episode aired January 25th, 2016.
Wow. Over a year and a half ago. So much has changed in a year and a half.
Have you gotten taller? Is that one of the things?
No, I haven't gotten. Well, maybe. I don't know. Some people tell me that, but I don't. I think they're just getting shorter, honestly.
You know what? I shouldn't laugh because I did get shorter. I went to the doctor and they said I was 2 inches shorter.
2 inches?
I was 5'4". They tell me I'm 5'2" now.
That is scary. That's scary.
I'm not
to
sure
be like a quarter of an inch or like an eighth of an inch or like a millimeter. Sure, I get it, but
it's, you know what? When you go from doctor to doctor, and I was in Maryland first and then Philly, it's the way they take measurements and stuff. I gotta say, it's different.
Well, maybe you were wearing different shoes. 2 inches could be like, were you wearing platform shoes that day?
Maybe I was when I first took it. Maybe the folks in Baltimore don't care, and they're like, "Yeah, put your shoes on."
I think you need to measure yourself up against the door jamb or something.
Oh, you know what? I'm in a new apartment. That's great. I could just put a little pencil mark.
There you go.
Start a new trend here. But so it's serious. People can go get shorter. So that is possible. But you've had a lot of other things going for you in that year and a half. You wrote a book.
Yeah, my third book, I Self-Empower.
Which is actually not just any old book that you wrote. It's not just your third book. It's the third book of essentially what you call a trilogy, right?
Yes, of self-development. That is true. Thanks for softballing that for me. It's more of like an art piece. It's 160 self-affirmations. And they're laid out in a essentially what is like what's the word I'm looking for? The repetitive. No, well, yes, a flip book, but also a repetitive. What's the repetitive art piece? What's the thing that like? Oh man.
Well, you got to help me out here.
Google's helping me out. Repetitive art piece, and I can't think of what the name of it is. Repetition art.
So what led you to doing repetition art? Was there some purpose behind it, or did you just like how it looks, or?
So I was watching a documentary on the infamous Banksy and the whole whatever his name was, I can't recall what his name was, the French dude. Anyway, he was like doing this repetition art. I had just gotten done watching it, and I was getting ready to go to sleep. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I started to get I started to dream a little bit about what repetition art in word form would look like. And then I woke up and wrote 100, or not, I woke up and wrote like 75 self-affirmations.
Wait. You woke up in the middle of the night and just started writing?
It wasn't in the middle of the night. It was like 9:30. Yeah. And I wrote 75 self-affirmations. And then I woke up in the morning and wrote like maybe another 20 or 30 of them. And then throughout the day, I wrote a few more. And the next night, I wrote a few more. And then I was like, let me put this together in like in a book. And then I started to figure out what that was going to look like. 10 days later, I had a book. It
10
literally
days?
was available. Yeah, it was available on Amazon 10 days later.
So you now have 3 books available on Amazon. And guys, you can find the link in the show notes.
Shout out to show notes.
So you can totally do that and, check it out. I have all his books. They're fantastic. And so, Joe, for those who didn't listen to episode 25, which you should, how would you describe yourself?
A realist that loves to dream and create things. And I have an affinity for business. It's deeply embedded in my DNA. It's what I love to talk about. And it's what I talk about in my podcast, in my vlog. It's what I talk about every day, what people come to me for questions, and in my consulting work. And yeah, lots of love business. And actually, love creating too, but business.
When he says dreamer, guys, he is a dreamer. And, one of the things that is also different for you is you were a freelancer. You were not tied down by the man, so to speak.
I'm still not really tied down by the man because I work for I was doing my own thing and I had actually just landed. This was back in November. I had just landed from LA from spending some time with a friend of mine, Jeff Barnes, Dr. Jeff Barnes, and we're working on a book together. So it's been fun to process that out. But what ended up happening was I got an email from somebody who I had interviewed on the show, and I actually had spoken at one of their events, and I had spoken at their facility to some of the youth, and I had even done some freelance work for them over that summer, so summer of 2016, and then. They needed some help with a client that they had at the time, so I came in and was helping them with that. And I landed on this plane and I checked my email and it was like 5:30 in the morning. And of course, because the executive director at that organization, he sends emails super early. And I looked at my email and I was like, they're looking for a web director because their current web director is leaving to start his own venture. And I was like, I don't think I really want a job, right? Like I'm having fun, I'm making money, but I really love the organization. So the organization's name is Hopeworks in Camden, and for anyone who doesn't know, Camden, New Jersey has been routinely one of the most dangerous cities in America. It has a slew of problems, but what I have found in the 8 months of working there is that there is a tremendous amount of people that are there that really, really care and are really, really trying to make a difference in the city of Camden. So I, what I had found even before that was like, wow, like this place, Hopeworks, takes in Camden youth and it helps them get their professional career started or their education started, like really, really well, right? So they have all kinds of support. Yeah, it's trauma-informed care, but it's set in a setting where they're learning to work in a professional manner, get their professional skills sharpened, and at the same time get healing, and they learn how to code. They get paid a stipend, and then they can get internship. And one of the internships is the web department that I run. And then from there, we have lots of connections to help them get job placements.
Well, that's great.
So, and we have connections with lots and lots of companies from including like Subaru and some local hospitals, like big time hospitals around here in the Philly area. So, yeah, I mean, we have a lot of connections, and I fell in love with the idea of being able to give back in a way that there's no way I would have been able to do like otherwise. And, while I didn't really want a job.
Well, this seems like a calling.
So to a certain extent it is, right? Because like I'm doing things that I wouldn't be doing as a web director at any other place. Number one. And number two, what it enabled me to do was to not have to worry so much about the money aspect of what I was worried about before. Like month to month is like, man, I got to get some clients. I got to bring in the money. I got to, make sure that all the bills are paid and everything. And it enabled me to put my mind at ease on that and invest in the business that I started at the beginning of 2017.
That's amazing. So it's just another avenue for you to give back, because they're giving back in such a extraordinary way.
Absolutely. And we have CEOs of multinational, like billion-dollar corporations that come in to speak to these kids, and not even speak, but mentor these kids. I say kids, I'm sorry, youth, because they're like, but I'm 30, but they're like between the ages of like 16, 17 to like 26.
So on that verge of that next stage of life.
Yeah. And they're getting coding skills, they're getting professional skills, they're getting healing through the trauma informed care. Like it's really incredible what we do there. And I invite anyone listening to this that lives in the Philadelphia area to come out to North Camden and take a tour. Reach out to me and I'll get one set up for you, because it's really incredible what you're going to find when you get there.
And that's, guys, just another thing that kind of worked out. It's also a testament to networking and the power of that, because I'm not sure you would have found that kind of a job on like Ideal or.
No, they picked me. So yeah. The power of building your own platform. It goes back to. Do you know Jonathan? Amy?
I know a few Jonathans.
Jonathan from Waterfront Labs.
No, I can't say I do.
Okay, so I met him because of Matthew Passy from Pod to Pod. He introduced me to him. Me and Jonathan had a talk. They were throwing a conference, and he's like, I want you to come and podcast there. So I go there, and this is in like May of 2016 or April of 2016. And I go there, I podcast, and I'm getting ready to like wind down, and this kid, Chris, comes over. I keep saying Chris. This youth Chris comes over, and he's like asking me all these questions, and he's like, "Oh, you got to meet Dan, our executive director." So he brings Dan over. I interview him, and then that's when he's like, "Oh, you got to come take a tour." I was like, "Wow, this sounds amazing. I never heard of any of this." So I took a tour, came back to speak, set up to speak at their hackathon event. That was a month or two later. Mm-hmm. And then I got to meet some other people from the organization that were like, hey, when our web director goes on vacation, can you fill in for a couple hours across the week? I said, yeah, sure. Did that. But little did I know I was like, auditioning for a job that I had no intentions of having or taking or anything like that. So, it just goes to show you that like you really it's really important that you, well, first off, be nice to everyone and treat people the way you would like to be treated. But to build that platform and build that stage for yourself, because it's really what's going to set you apart. Like I didn't have to, put myself out there or submit. I didn't even submit a resume like for this job, like they picked me because they saw what I could do as far as, helping them build the business up on the business end of things and building the processes. So I'm using I'm doing web design, and that's, what I've been doing since 96, but I'm using the skills and the things that I bring to my clients on the consulting end. As far as building up the business and building out the processes and all that. And
that's the thing. This is just a testament to how things kind of lined up and worked out. But it goes to show it's also a representation of your hard work.
Absolutely. Yeah. If I didn't put in all the hard work, I wouldn't necessarily have gotten to where I was and am now. And it's just, to be giving back in such a way, like I said, I wouldn't go and be a web director anywhere else. Like I have no interest in that long term. In fact, we're working on it so that I don't have to be the web director there. I can, or I might still have the title, but I'll be in a different role than I am right now as far as designing goes. So we're building out that business so that we don't have to have me doing all of that stuff.
See, and that's great, because now here's the thing, right? So you went from a life of yourself and you working, and now you have a day job, but you haven't given up everything else, right?
No, not at all. In fact, we're talking right now at 8:50 at night, right? So, I work very hard in the hours that in between those hours. I make sure that I'm trying to hit everything that I possibly can, and like I said, to utilize the money. Like I knew as soon as I was going to take that job, like I was like going to use this money to invest in to basically throw fuel on my fire as far as my business goes. So as far as consulting goes, so it's just really important to know what the focus of what you're trying to accomplish is, and be like, okay, so I'm doing this, and this is why I'm going to do this, and this is what's this makes me feel good. I can throw fuel. Plus, now I have an amazing nonprofit that wins tons of awards, by the way. Tons, like our mantle there is completely full of awards. The 10% of my profits from my business go straight to Hopeworks. So it's given me an outlet to support something, because like one of the things that I do with my consulting clients, and my mission with that is to create and save jobs. So if I'm creating and saving jobs, I want there to be people in the world to be able to fill said jobs that we're creating. And it just feeds right back into it.
See, and every time we talk, and the more we're talking about this, the more I'm like, but that's not all, guys. He's like, it's true, but that's not it. That's not all of it. He's working a day job. You're working on your dreams and your passions at night. But you also have another thing that has happened to you during this time, which is taking your attention, rightfully so, right? Mm-hmm. She has a name.
Oh, we're talking about Ava. I thought we were talking about my fourth book. No, I knew we were talking about Ava. Ava Grace. She, for the geeks out there, her AGP is her initials.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, it wasn't on purpose. But I mean, I mean, maybe a little bit. But I mean, it's she's advanced. What can I say? if you catch the joke, most people listening probably do not get the joke.
But if you did, you had a nice chuckle. And yes. The important part is this is just another aspect that in the last 2 years that has taken, again, rightfully so, your time and attention. And somehow you are juggling all of this. And guys, he is an amazing father. He's not ignoring her. He's not like, hey, we push back our talk so he could spend some time with her, understandably, I did. But what I'm saying, though, is, right, you're juggling all of this and she's not being, pushed to the side in terms of priority or anything or being ignored. She's getting the time and daddy time, attention, and you're taking care of her and you're still working on your business, right? Because she's sleeping now. You worked at your day job today because it's Wednesday. Yep. How do you not go crazy with all this?
I think the better question is, how does Melissa not go crazy with all this?
That's a valid point. A valid point. Melissa is his wife.
Yes, for anyone that does, she is my wife. Almost 5 years, actually. October will be October 6th will be 5 years. Woot, woot. I know, we've almost been together for 10. March will be 10. March 2nd will be 10 years.
Wow.
Together. Yeah, it flies by. When it is really tough. And to say that I don't need reminders from time to time, because, you see the emails when you're out or you're doing things, and you're trying to spend time with family, but you're like, oh, but like this person just contacted me and this is like, could be really, really big or really, really important. You have to be willing to prioritize. And I think the most important thing that, you can do for your life, not necessarily for your business, is learning how to prioritize and the right times to prioritize. It's really easy to allow yourself to get sucked up into it. And I've been there, right? Like when you're working on your business and you feel like, or not even feel like it is, hey, if I don't work today, I'm not going to get paid. If I don't get paid, I can't make the mortgage. If I can't make the mortgage, we're going to be living on the street. Right. And that really did play a part of the idea of me deciding to go and to take a position at Hopeworks. Because that stress, when things aren't going, firing on all cylinders for you, it seeps into everything. Money is a powerful thing. People get divorced over money and break up over money. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important that in order for you to be okay and at ease with yourself, the money has to be right. Because if it's not, that's what's going to be on the top of your mind. Not, hey, how much more time can I spend with my kid or my wife, or making sure that I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, taking care of myself or working out. Because if I'm working out, I'm not working, and if I'm not working, I'm not making money. It really can eat at you, and that's so prioritizing is really important, and building those processes and building those boundaries is so important in order for you to really hone in and say, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time, and that's going to be enough for me to get by. And when I wake up in the morning, I'll get more work done. But like tonight, I'm going to take the time to spend it with my wife, or I'm going to spend this time with my kid. And even talking to other guests on like the Dreamers podcast, at what cost does success come, right? It's a great question. You get to the point where like, okay, cool, I made 100,000 this month, or I made 100,000 in a year, or in 2 years. It may not be enough, and that's up to you to decide what enough is, but you have to understand like what is it costing you? It's time or resources, right? So it's like, and time is a resource. So it's time, energy, resources, all of that stuff is sacrificed in order to bring in more money or more success, whatever you claim to be as far as success goes. And then I don't claim to know what that is for everyone. I think that's what you have to define. I mean, I talk about that in my second book, because defining that in the beginning, it really, really helps. Again, we're not perfect. We don't live in a bubble. We do get distracted, and sometimes we do get blinded by the light, so to say, when it comes to success, if it keeps coming. But that's why you have to really define it, and you have to keep it analyzing too, because your success might not be what you thought it was just 3 months ago or 5 months ago. That's why you got to keep setting different goals and reevaluating what those goals are and what's going to take for you to achieve those goals. If it starts sacrificing too much of your family time or your time or workout time or anything like that, that's when it's, that's why you have to keep reevaluating.
Have you had to go through that?
Yeah. I mean, I have, because again, when you're running a business that in the beginning didn't make it, any money, so to speak, I think it was like the first year did like, it was less than $10,000. And then in the second year was like 40. And then in the third year, we were getting closer to being just over 100. If you include the fact that I picked up a job, based around the platform that I built. So it's like, in 3 years, I went from making like basically no money, to making almost enough money. Right. It's like, it's enough, but it's like, I'm constantly living on the edge because it wasn't coming in regular intervals. To, okay, there's more than enough money here. Let me start to invest and throw fuel on the fire, for the business.
That's the thing. So sometimes we do so much, we forget to evaluate things as things are happening. So we lose track of it, right? We lose sight. We're so focused on one thing that we don't realize sometimes what we're leaving behind or what's being affected because of our zeroed in focus, whatever it is. So sometimes we just have to do that. And the fact that you're doing all of that, the job, the podcast, Ava, the books, and now you're still writing another book, right?
Two books, yeah.
Another 2 books, guys, that he's writing. I'm not sure if you are actually sleeping.
No, I do sleep, and you forgot MapCon as well in there.
And I forgot MapCon.
And we ran DreamCon for the first time in there.
Yeah. See, there's more.
Yeah,
but,
well, hold on. So when we had Ava, and I say first because we're actually going to be having a second kid in February. When we had Ava, I thought that I was going to, be able to get a lot more done than I did. And I took quite a few months off. And that actually ultimately played a part in my decision to make the decision to take a job as well, because there wasn't as much time as I thought there was going to be. Mm-hmm. And I had to cut back on a lot of things. It's, one of the, it's one of the reasons that my second book didn't come out, or my 4th book that I'm working on now isn't out yet. Cause I'm just in the last couple of months, basically since the beginning of summer, had time to really invest in that, because Melissa was home from school, from work during the summer to watch Ava in my day, my days off, or the days that I am able to get work done at home. So, it's, yeah.
But that's it, right? I mean, you do what you have to do what you love, but also to protect and take care of your family. And it's not easy. I mean, so before, because you have an interesting story in that prior, when we had our first interview, you were doing your dream, right? You were working on it full time, essentially. And now we're looking at, you've kind of taken on this other responsibility in order to sustain or have some comfort. Most people are where you are now and are looking to go to where you were.
So here's the other key point here is investing that money back into my business, which I finally had started my LLC in the beginning of this year, 234 Solutions for consulting. Thing is I utilize some of that money now because I don't need it to survive. The money that's being made from the business, mm-hmm. I don't need it to survive so much as I need it to be reinvested into the business. So I have a virtual assistant who does work for me, 10 to 15 hours a week right now. Mm-hmm. I have a Facebook ads agency, and I have a marketing and branding and sales coach. So I've been able to reinvest in those ways as well. So those are things I wouldn't have been able to do because I was just getting by with the money that I was making before.
Ah, see, that's
see,
yeah.
So that's what I was talking about before when I'm like, when the opportunity to take a position was there, it's like, do I really want to go work every day? Probably not. But I really love the mission. I love where it's going to put me as far as what I'm able to give back. And I love that the people that I'm working with, because everyone cares, everyone's there because they love the mission as well, right?
Right.
It makes such a difference when everyone cares. And I'm not miserable there. So that's a big plus. And it was and I've learned so much just from being there, with the trauma informed care. I've learned so much getting to manage, these interns, helping them on their path with their own businesses that they run, design businesses and such. So getting to help and coach them through their lives is, it means all the world to me. But at the end of the day, it put me in a position where hey, I can afford to invest back in the business. Mm-hmm. And I can afford to do so happily and not make more sacrifices in my life or my family's life in the meantime, other than the sacrifice of being at work during the day.
That's a little bit of an adjustment, right?
So it was an adjustment for me because I had to no longer I never had a job before I other than working in my family's business. So having a boss and having people work under me, directly under me, that report directly to me, was an adjustment that took 6 months, and having to ask for help right? I think one of the most important things, and even when analyzing yourself and whether or not you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing or whatever it is that you're trying to figure out, you have to not be afraid to ask, right? Because you're too close to your own situation. And maybe even the people you're asking are too close to your situation. But you have to be not afraid to ask, whether it's your spouse or your kid, what am I doing enough? Am I doing the right things? Could I be doing more? Those types of things are only going to easily be able to be answered from a third person, not from yourself in most cases.
I mean, so much has happened in this year and a half that I'm kind of excited to see what happens in the next, well, hopefully it's not a year and a half before you come back on the show, but guys, keep an eye out. Joe's doing some big things, 2 books coming up. Who knows what other projects will pop into his head, because that's kind of how it works. I
know. Well, I have a Venturatorium sequel that I want to put together. I have the storyline in my head. I just have to get the time to so it's Venturatorium was a DJ album. It was my first DJ album. It helped spark this idea that I, not only could leave, but wanted to leave and do my own thing and be creative and be the person that I am when I was working at my family's business. And it came out back in 2014. And I wanted to do a sequel, but the thing is, there's no money in it. So I haven't. That's another thing. So I haven't been able to do the things that I want to do as much because they don't make money. So if I'm not working, I'm not making money, and that's a problem. But you have to remember that self-care is a thing, and it's super important that you take care of yourself in the meanwhile.
Super important.
Yes. But taking breaks is important too, even outside of just the idea of self-care. Like for me, DJing, I haven't really touched my turntables in 3 years, but probably about two years. And but I know that I'm going to have to knock the rust off when I get back on them and start up Adventuratorium 2. So I'm going to. And I'm really looking forward to it. So if you love Disney music, go check out Adventuratorium on my site. Which, again, will be on the show notes page. Guys, definitely check out. Keep your eye open for Joe and everything he has going on. Joe, thank you. The award. The award. You didn't. I forgot. The award. So get this, guys. Yes. Sorry. You got so much going on. Go ahead. I know. I know. It's hard for me to believe, too. It's a great thing that I come on these types of shows with people that I love and recap, because I forget myself. See, well, thank you for reminding me. Joe's Dreamers podcast has received a nomination, that being one, for what is the category? Business podcast. And when does that announcement come out? September 30th. There will be a live video stream from my friend Todd Cochran, and from the podcastawards.com. You can go and check all the nominees out there. Shout out to my good friend Christy, who's on the Behind the Magic show. That's nominated as well, and Dave Jackson's show, School of Podcasting, is nominated as well. I think there's a few other people that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head, and I apologize for not mentioning name dropping those people's names, but you had no idea this was coming. No, I did throw $10 to the cause to potentially to potentially be nominated, to be considered. To be considered. Oh yeah, She Podcast, Jessica Kupferman and Elsie. Congratulations to Elsie on her award at Podcast Movement, which I did not get to see. But Academy of Podcasters, she was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that is incredible. That is incredible. There's a few other shows, but yeah. So I mean, I'm super. So I had no idea that I was going to be nominated. In fact, I had forgotten all about it because it was months ago that I even dropped the $10 just to support the thing in the first place. It surprised. I was pretty shocked. In fact, I didn't even realize I didn't get a nomination email or anything for a week or so. But it just happened to be that I saw that it was posted, and at the time the site wouldn't load for me on my phone for some reason. And then I got home and checked it out, and it's like, whoa, I'm on there. That is pretty awesome. I'm super stoked to be nominated. Super honored to be nominated. Oh, Trivial Warfare is on there too. Shout out to those guys, and Jonathan Oakes, I believe. Yeah, Jonathan Oakes. Congratulations. I haven't even looked at most of these. So, that is awesome. So I had no idea, and here we are. I don't know that I'll win. I don't know that I won't win, but either way, I'm
You've
really
been
honored.
nominated. It's like those with the Academy Awards, right? We can't all be winners, but there are Academy Award nominees. You, sir, are a podcast nominee.
It'll make me cry. Seriously, stop.
I mean, it's so exciting, though. I mean, it's not like we do it for the awards, but to be recognized is really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So when I see like people that like my friends get recognized or anything like that, like I'm just happy to know a lot of these people, and that because a lot of them. I mean, I'm doing a lot of stuff, and we just sat here and like bragged about all the things I'm doing, but really, like, it's all the cool things that I get to talk to the people that are doing the cool things. Like, there's a lot of cool things that people are doing, and I'm just honored to get to know those people like you, Amy. Like,
I'm honored that we know each other.
Me too.
We're friends.
Absolutely. So to me, that's the thing. Like, I love getting to know people and stories and learning from those stories. And that's where podcasting came into my life, and on a plane ride to Disney World. And, here I am 3.5 years later and getting ready to quote unquote graduate from, if I was in college for this stuff. And,
it's a good way to put it.
So one of the things I wanted to do, Amy, and tell me if I'm wrong, and maybe we shouldn't even be talking this on the show, but so I had to record a acceptance speech and submit it before September 23rd. And I was thinking, what if I recorded my acceptance speech at MapCon, like up in front of everybody?
What happens if you don't win?
Well, you had to submit one. You had to submit an acceptance speech.
I see.
Yeah.
I think if you make it natural.
Yeah, like I would use like my vlogging camera, my Canon camera, and I'll do it from like with everybody behind me. I can
see you being able to make that natural. I think that would be the key.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to think I could. But we'll see. It was just a thought I had. But if not, I'm gonna have to record something not soon, but pretty soon.
Interesting. It's always interesting to see how people do that, because even for the podcast awards at the Academy of Podcast Awards that we had. I'm forgetting what it was officially called.
The Academy of Podcasters?
The Academy of Podcast Awards. I think that's what it was. They had pre-recorded for those who couldn't attend. That was really cool.
Academy of Podcasters Awards and Podcasting Hall of Fame.
What he said. It's just interesting to see how different people do it. We don't usually see these behind the scene kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, so I was kind of disappointed I didn't do it the other day when there was a double rainbow over my house. I didn't think I had people over, and I didn't think enough to plan for it, like what I wanted to say or anything to that effect. But
that's cool though. But so wait, before I sign off, did I miss anything else?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
But you know what? You guys can find out, because Joe does vlog once a week about, he's on social media, all of which, again, you can find on the show notes page.
Yes. Shout out to the show notes.
Joe, any last words for the people?
We don't always know what kind of path we're going to wind up taking. I left my family's business. I had no idea what I was going to do. I was back in school for some degree that I didn't want or need, as I eventually found out. The power of sticking by what it is that you're doing, right? Like figuring out what your lane looks like and building that out is so important. Being of a certain background, a certain belief, and all that, like it's super important to take that to wherever you're going and wear that on your sleeve proudly. And people will respect you for it if you act like you've been there with it. Right. That I don't know where I was going with this. just be yourself. And here's the thing. So Amy, there's been plenty, well, up until like say in the last year or so, there was plenty of times where I've thought, maybe I should change the name of my show from the Dreamers podcast.
Yes, we've talked about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And what I ended up doing was I added a subtitle instead called it Business Lessons from Those Who Live Their Dreams, because the show really is a business show. Like even the episodes that aren't with like business owners, if the way we talk about it, it's like life and business go hand in hand in many, many, many cases. So that's why it's a business lessons show, but it's from people who get it, right? They get that there's more to life than just like the numbers. And it's funny because I'm a numbers and process guy, but at the same time, I'm also like creative and interested in those types of outlets. So, figure out what your lane is, figure out what makes you feel good about yourself, and then take that to the masses.
You heard him, guys. I'm not going to take more of your time because you should be going off and doing just that. All right. Joe, thank you so much for showing up and checking back in. We're going to check back in with you again. One, because I also love just having you on the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to having you on the Dreamers podcast. Have you filled it out yet? I don't think you filled it out yet.
You got to give me the weekend.
I got to give you the weekend?
Yes.
Oh, this weekend?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, if we need to record on a weekend, I always make time for you. It's fine.
You rock. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you do. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Not you, Amy. The person, you with the ears.
You're the best. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Amy.
Hey, guys, that was Joe Pardo. Good friend, dreamer, chasing his dreams, doing what he has. And so much has changed in 2 years. It's amazing, right? How things can change. But yet, despite all that, he is still chasing his dreams, which I love. You can find more about Joe and all the links we mentioned in the show notes over at chasingdreamshq.com/episode 107. That's episode 107. Until next time, Dream Chasers, keep chasing.
Thank you so much for listening to Chasing Dreams. Amy would love to connect with you and hear all about your pursuit of chasing your dreams. Connect with her on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram via @ChasingDreamsHQ. Or you can find Amy on Twitter @AmyJ21. That's AIMEEJ21. Be sure to visit headquarters over at ChasingDreamsHQ.com for more inspiration, motivation, and resources to help with your own dream chase. We hope you'll join Amy next week, and until then, keep chasing.